Hello, and welcome to Totally Schway Flipside. My name is Mary,
My name's Luke.
and today we're not going to give you news. We're not going to give you highlights. We are going to give you a review of what we think Fantastic Four was. Was it fantastic? Question mark. Who knows?
Hmm.
So, I'm doing this a little bit differently because I want to be a little bit more structured in this so the time doesn't go by too quickly. And I see my husband's uh, will slowly fading out of his eyes when he edits this. So I've got some questions. It's not a ton of questions, but it's for both of us to just, you know, give our best thoughts on the movie. So, Luke, would you like to? I'm going to ask you the question first.
Okay.
Did First Steps feel like an improvement over earlier Fantastic Four films?
Yes.
I think so. I still wish that Michael B. Jordan was going to be in this one somewhere, somehow, but he's not, and that's okay. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty simple question, actually. Okay, next question. What do you think of the film's visuals, costume design, and production style? Did the comic book aesthetic land effectively?
Wouldn't say that it had a comic book aesthetic all that much. I'd say it had like a retro futuristic look.
Yeah,
Kind of like what people in the 1960s thought the future might look
exactly what I
like.
was going to say.
And I think it had a wonderful aesthetic. I thought that was probably the strongest thing about the film. Obviously, it was, and we'll get into this later on, but
A
it was a,
60s version of the future. That's what
yes,
I was going to say.
yes, yeah. And I really like the aesthetic. Particularly like how they incorporated Herbie from the Fantastic Four cartoon into it as well.
Mm.
I thought that was a very smart move. It was just a very visually distinct movie in a bunch of movies that have not been all that visually distinct in
Yeah,
recent years.
yeah. I think Marvel's really done a good job with this one
Hmm.
because the aesthetic on 828, is that the world? 828?
Yes.
So on
Earth
Earth
828.
828, I wholeheartedly believe that this is a good step in the right direction in terms of you want the Fantastic Four to feel like the Fantastic Four,
Hmm.
like the comic or the cartoon or something, and I do feel that way.
Yeah.
Without it being too, and to be honest with you, it was not too over the top in terms of like the locations and stuff that were on Earth 828.
Hmm.
Okay, next question, another simple question. Was the story easy to follow?
I thought so. Very
Yeah,
simple, very easy to follow,
yeah,
very straightforward
I
story.
did. So in my mind, there were three stories.
Hmm.
There was the family aspect,
Hmm.
there was the space aspect, right? And then there was the Silver Surfer. um, and as someone who has, attention problems sometimes, I felt the way that they broke it up as well didn't confuse the story. It fit really well together and it was cohesive, but still, I got those stories and it made sense. So yeah, I think it did well.
And what was the story, Mary?
Well, okay, here goes. I think the story was about family. And I'm not just talking about the four or five members of Fantastic Four.
Hmm.
What I'm talking about is the family of mankind
Yes.
because they are the protectors of Earth 828. There's a reason I'm saying that. And basically all of that Earth is their family and they have to protect. All four of them have a distinct purpose. It's each to protect, but just a little bit different for each person. And I think that's great. And obviously, Silver Surfer and
Galactus.
Galactus.
When I
I
say
keep
GLaDOS.
I keep saying like amateur science, but Galactus. They're trying to protect Earth and their blood from those two figures. And obviously it's going to get even bigger, isn't it? Because it's, Marvel and all of that. So I think that was the story. A family protecting each other.
Hmm.
and working together.
You made a note. I can't remember if this was during the movie or if this was afterwards, because we tried not to talk about it too much so we wouldn't spoil recording the
Mhm.
podcast. But you're like, none of Reed Richards' schemes work. He's not that smart.
Exactly. That's the thing. So everyone has a purpose in this film. I'll get on to that now, actually. Let's talk about the Reed Richards bit, and then I'll go on to the next sort of question. I think, again, this is just my opinion. I think Reed Richards made a lot of mistakes, but they're not actually mistakes. They're learning opportunities because that's what a scientist does. A scientist can come up with a hypothesis, but they also have to, in order to make it a complete fact, they need to test and they need to be able to make, I hate saying the word with when it comes to science, but failures. It needs to, you need to have mistakes to back up your research.
Right.
And you also need to make mistakes to improve the end game. Not end game as in Marvel endgame, but yeah. I I thought that was such a good thing that they did because he wasn't fantastical. Like he was realistic in that regard. As realistic as Reed Richards can be, to be honest with you. But making mistakes is something that all of us can, relate to.
Hmm.
And I like the fact that they did not. Yes, the mistakes that he made were huge in some aspects, but then by the end, they all worked out, really. Because when I say they all worked out is in the end, they protected Earth 828, and that's what they wanted to do.
Hmm.
And the mistakes were made, but, but, it all worked out. So I'll go to the next question. We'll talk about more about the characters and stuff like that. Okay, I think we already kind of just talked about this, but I'll let you describe it a little bit more. What was the main problem in the movie?
What, as in story problem, or are you talking about just like problem with the film overall?
Uh
Like critically?
oh, not critically, as in what was the main
Issue.
issue
What were
with the
they
film?
fighting against?
Yeah,
Okay, so they were fighting against Galactus.
yeah,
That's basically it.
yeah.
And if you don't know who Galactus is like this. They describe him as like a cosmic vampire that consumes the energy of planets and has an insatiable hunger. And for some reason, which they never really got into, the Silver Surfer, his herald, had selected Earth as the next planet for him to consume. I have to assume that it's because the Silver Surfer and Galactus became aware of Franklin Richards as
Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
yeah, well, obviously this is going to be spoilers because
Yeah.
we're talking about the film, but this is all like really convoluted stuff, and it's some of the stuff I don't like about comic books, to be honest, but it is an integral part of it. But Franklin Richards is the son of Reed and Susan Richards.
Mhm.
He is
You mean Susan Storm?
yeah, okay, Susan Storm, although they did get married, but anyway, Susan Storm. They their son is a cosmic being, I suppose. He's a mutant. In the comics, he is the last survivor of our universe. So when everything is gone and it's all just darkness, well, actually, there's two survivors. There's him and the Incredible Hulk. But Galactus has identified him as someone who could take his thirst from him and allow him to finally die after billions of years of eating planets.
Hmm.
Frankly, he's fed up. He's tired. He just wants to die. Don't quite know why he wouldn't let the Fantastic Four just like beat him and have him starve. I don't know. But he's identified Franklin as his replacement, and he says, "I will eat the Earth unless you give me the baby." And they all say, "We're not giving you the baby," and fly
Mhm.
back to Earth and let everyone know that he wants to eat the baby, or he wants the baby, sorry, or he'll eat the Earth. And there's a sizable chunk of the population that say, "We'll give him the baby then."
Can I simplify this?
Yeah, go on.
The main problem in the movie is Galactus' attitude. That's what I think. I think it could have been a lot. I think Galactus could have went about this a different way. Had he ever tried donuts?
Has he ever tried eating uninhabited planets?
Uh, all you can eat buffet at the Golden Corral?
Yeah, actually, that would work.
To be honest, with southern portions, it probably could. Yeah. All right. So, what was your favorite moment or sequence in the film?
Oh, I don't know, actually. I thought it was. I don't think I have a favourite moment or sequence. I think overall, though, it was a very life affirming movie because, as I was saying a moment ago, people are protesting against the Fantastic Four going, just give up your baby. And they try and hide away from it until Sue just goes out there, takes Franklin out with her, and said, "This is my son, Franklin. I'm introducing him to the world. I am not going to sacrifice my son to save the planet, but I am not going to sacrifice the planet to save my son either." And then everyone goes, "Oh, okay."
That is my favorite part was that speech that Susan Storm did, because like Luke was saying, like she went out there and she explained how much she loves Earth 828, and also how much she loves her own family.
Yeah.
And she was not willing to risk losing her baby. But also, the reason why she didn't want to risk it is because she wants that baby to grow up there.
Yeah.
With all of these people in this world, and they all need to stand up and work together. And I say to myself when I was watching that, I was like, if only we had a Susan Storm.
Well, yeah, the other thing as well is that I don't think that people in the real world would accept that as an answer. They'd say, no, it's easier to just give over the baby. Just give over the baby. Just do that.
But the way that, obviously, it's really oversimplified in this, but it's about community.
Yeah.
It's about love, compassion,
restraint.
Equality. Restraint and strength. Because you have to be strong to love. I always feel that way because love is one of the hardest things to do, and you continuously doing it and all of that. And I think superhero movies, especially like Fantastic Four, this is a group of people. This isn't just Thor. This isn't just Captain America. This is a group of people that are working to do the same thing that everybody else is doing. They just happen to have powers, and they're in a family unit. But what a lot of people don't get in this world is that they're a part of that family too.
Yeah.
And I think Vanessa Kirby, is that her name?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I really, really think she did a great job as Susan Storm. And it's the way that she delivered, because it could have gone way camp. It really could have. I love camp, don't get me wrong. But it didn't. It had the perfect amount of camp, but also just realness. So I love that. That is my favorite scene. And also it's her ability to be able to, because she's holding Franklin this entire time, but her ability to show all of this emotion just with like holding her child as well. So that was such a profound moment for me. Do you want me to move on to the next question?
Sure.
What felt lacking or could have been improved?
So I don't think this is like lacking or could have been improved, but something I was wondering. So their plan to defeat Galactus is actually not to defeat Galactus, but to move Earth to a similar galaxy where they can hide from him, because then Galactus won't be able to find them because they'll, be billions of light years away or whatever, using teleportation tech that Reed Richards has developed. The thing is, if we move the Earth but don't take the moon with us, the planet's kind of screwed because the moon controls the tides and the seas, and I'm sure there are other things that it does. I'm not I was going to say astronomer then. Is that the right word? Astronomy? Astrology. Which
astronomer.
One? Yeah, astronomer. I was right.
Astrology is like Gemini.
Yeah. Well, I'm neither of those things. So I don't know what would happen.
Moon rising with a little bit of turtle in there.
I don't know what would happen to the planet without the moon, but they weren't taking the moon with them. So that was one thing that I was sitting there thinking, going, is it a good idea to leave and not take the moon? I think we kind of need the moon, don't we?
I think they would have probably found something similar, but I think it still would have like the Earth works because of every minute detail of the galaxy that we live in.
Hmm.
And if one thing changes, like for instance, a solar flare
Hmm.
that's big enough to like actually mess with some of like our signals and stuff, that can be quite devastating. It can be very devastating, or it could just like black out certain things and all of that. So yeah, I think that is something that is probably lacking. Maybe the science behind that's not as great as it could have
Yeah.
been.
I mean, it doesn't have to be. It's comic book science, isn't it? I would also say that the confrontation with Galactus eventually devolved into a fist fight, which, yeah, okay, I guess you expect that from these kind of movies.
I kind of liked that part of it where, well, I'm a Susan Storm fan now.
Mhm.
Um, so here's my thing. This is my answer to this. I felt that I couldn't stop laughing when Pedro Pascal's would just stretch out everywhere.
Mhm.
I just felt like they needed to do a little bit more backstory. I know they did it well, but just a little bit more would have been better because it didn't. Well, I guess it felt kind of rushed or whatever. But come on, by this point, don't we all kind of know the Fantastic Four origins? They go into space, something happens, they come back. There's a rock in the spaceship. It's the thing, Clubber in Time, whatever. Um, but yeah, maybe that. But honestly, I just can't stop. It's like O'Brien in his little like. um. So let's move on to the next one because there's not. To be honest with you, I don't think there's a ton lacking from this because of the type of movie it is. I think they did a really great job.
Mhm.
Okay, let's talk before we talk about the actors. What did you think of the music?
It was by Michael Giacomo, who did the Batman, and he did something else as well recently, and I forget what it is. But anyway, it's very good.
Yeah,
It had a very distinct sound again. It was kind of retro.
I love how they can adapt this whole thing. Like, this is just music in general, not just this particular movie, but I love how this composer can. I don't know if he watches the movie first or reads like the
Yeah,
thing.
they
Yeah,
do. They do.
like they can see that and know exactly
Yeah.
like what pitch, melody, whatever music words I don't know. Um, I wish I did. I love that. And this particular composer has done a few things that we've both liked,
Yeah.
haven't they? So I thought it was great.
Yeah, I will say missed opportunity though. They didn't work in the '90s animated theme song.
I don't think they
On an
needed
outer
to.
space adventure.
I don't think they needed to.
No, they
No.
probably didn't. They probably
I
didn't.
that's what I would have changed if they had. I I don't think I ever watched that.
Mm,
Nor do I want to.
fair.
Unless Disney, unless you need somebody to be a space alien or something in the next movie, any movie really. I know a gal. It's me.
Hmm.
All right, so let's talk about the actors. I'm gonna do the five main actors that were here. So obviously we have Pedro Pascal.
Yep.
Pedro Pascal is his actual name. Well, he's got a very long name, but this is his name. Vanessa Kirby,
Mm-hmm.
Ibon Mas Bachrach,
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Quinn.
Yep.
Uh oh, Galactus. I thought it was somebody else.
No, it's Ralph Ineson.
Yeah. It's such a recognizable voice though.
Yes.
Because I kept thinking to myself, I was like, who is, and I think I asked you, I was like, who is that or something?
Mm-hmm.
And Julia Garner, who played the Silver Surfer,
Mm-hmm.
or Shalabal.
Yeah.
Um, so thoughts on Silver Surfer? How's that casting for you?
I think it was just fine. Yeah, I know a lot of people.
Check.
Yeah, I know a lot of people got mad that it wasn't Norin Rad, but I think that
It's a Silver Surfer.
yeah, it's a different Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
There was a different Silver Surfer, Shalabal, and it's fine. And
Yeah.
remember, this is also all right, this is a nerdy thing to say, but it's in another dimension as well. If it
This is
really
Earth 828.
yeah, if it really upsets you, then in the main universe, it's Norrin Rad. All right, there you go. Simple, easy peasy.
Yeah. I'll get to Earth 828, by the way, at the
Yeah,
after we talk about the actors, because I think it's very special and important.
yeah.
It was such a lovely thing to see. So, Ralph Ineson?
Innocent.
Edison?
Yeah,
Loved it.
yeah. So he, for those that don't know this, he's a British actor. I've seen him on TV for like 30 years. He has a very deep voice, which is probably why he was cast for Galactus. And do you know what surprised me? They actually had him wear the Galactus suit when he was, and he acted
No
out his
way.
role. Yeah, so he was sat in the chair talking. Obviously, they blew him
Wow,
up to
yeah.
colossal size. He's
I
not
think they
really.
do that. They do the dots.
Yeah, but he had a costume and everything. They CG'd his eyes.
I wonder if he got to keep it.
No, it was at Comic Con at the moment. But I've seen photos of him wearing it, and you know what? I mean, it looks kind of silly, but it works in the movie.
Yeah. Honestly, they could have chosen anybody for that, right? And changed the voice with like editing and stuff like that. But what I think Marvel do a lot of the time is they do casting very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this because if you watch like any Thor movie or, even some of the Captain America movies and stuff like that, specific parts that you might not think are like huge, I remember because of the actor that they cast, because it was such a strong piece there. And
Mm-hmm.
this one was great. As soon as I heard that voice, I was like, this is gonna be great. Um, all right. Joseph Quinn, also known as the Stranger Things guy.
Yeah, again, another.
Chrissy, wake up.
Yes, he was good.
Yeah.
A very good Johnny Storm.
Hey.
So there's always been the question of like, why was Johnny Storm taken along on this mission into space? Because at the time in the comic books, he was just like a teenage boy that was like into cars, not necessarily particularly bright. But here, he is quite intelligent.
See, that's the thing. I was so surprised by this because I don't know a ton about Fantastic Four, but I know the gist of it.
Yeah.
And having Joseph Quinn play the character that isn't supposed to be like Reed Richards or Susan Storm or Ben, so different and in some regard immature.
Yeah.
But in this, they kind of flipped the script there. They made him intelligent and they gave you the reason why he was taken into space. And Joseph Quinn, and I'm going to say this a lot, spoiler alert, did a good job.
Yeah.
I was not, because I've only seen him, I think, in Stranger Things, I was expecting just that over again because Hollywood does that. They'll see you in one thing and then they'll cast you as the same character but with a different name.
Yeah.
Kind of a different backstory, but you're still that same character. I think he did a great Johnny Storm. I really do. And again, pleasantly surprised. And yeah.
Yeah.
So what about our favorite chef?
He's not a chef in the bear. He's the matron.
So much. Yeah. So Eben Mas Bacca.
Yeah.
I can't say I don't know if I'm saying his name right.
I think it's Backrack.
Yeah. It's far more beautiful than my original surname.
I think he had just the right level of gruffness for the thing, but also warmth.
Yes.
There's a funny
and relatability.
Yes, there's a funny scene where he's out, getting groceries in the neighborhood, and these school kids are like going, "Hey, it's the thing, throw that car." He's like, "What, this car?" And he pretends he can't lift it up, and then he just easily lifts it above his head, and they go, "Throw it!"
That.
And he pretends to throw it at them, and yeah.
I really, really. Again, this is another one that I was afraid that they were going to just cast him as what's his name in the what is his name in The Bear?
I can't remember.
Cousin.
Richie.
Yeah, Richie.
Richie, there we go.
But he wasn't. He did have a little bit of Richie in there, though. He did have a little bit of Richie in there, which was great. It's a great way to incorporate something that's well known about, a character that you have without putting that character completely into this one. And it was great. I think Eben would be great in anything you put him in because he would make it his own.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have that ebb and flare, but still not lose any of the character's personality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Vanessa Kirby. Can I go first? Can I go
Please.
first? Can I just say, love her. I honestly love her. And when I heard her original accent for the first time, I was like, yes, yes, I love you. I was hoping it would be in the in the movie, but it wasn't. She did her like American accent type thing, but it was great. I think that they picked the perfect person to play Susan Storm. Strong lady, someone who is very in tune with Susan Storm, just to begin with. Caring, mother like, but not just to her own, but to everyone. Because that speech will tell you it's Susan Storm is not just Franklin's mother. She's everybody's mother at this point. And just her ability to, I don't know if she has, I don't know anything about her personal life, but I don't know if she has children or not. But the way that she cared for like Johnny
Mm-hmm.
and for Franklin was just beautiful. Like she would be like the best aunt,
Hmm.
honestly. And just her performance, 100%. She did not give anything less than 100% in any of those scenes. And there's a very, very, very important scene at the end of the movie. Even when she is lying down unconscious, that lady knows how to act. I'm telling you, I felt it. Or you lost it and then you felt it again and it was beautiful.
Yeah, she was very good, and I thought it was interesting to note that out of like all of the characters, she was the one that everybody respected. Even Mole
Yeah,
Man. Mole Man's like, I hate surface
exactly.
dwellers,
Oh, I
but
forgot
I
about
trust Susan Storm.
Oh, but yeah, that is a perfect thing. I know some people would probably be like, "Oh, it's so, woke, whatever." My question to you is, and what's wrong with that? What's wrong with a woman being respected around the whole world, inside and out?
Yeah, I would also say that read the comics, and you find that generally, maybe not so much in the early comics, but particularly in like the stuff in the 70s and the 80s, like Sue Storm was like the not the leader, but she was like she was the boss.
Oh, the chemistry of this entire cast was great.
Yeah.
Um, I have to mention that, like all of them had like the best chemistry. And here's the thing, each of them had different little relationships with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't forced or anything like that. And it feels like four family members acted in this movie together. Like it really did. Now let's talk about Pedro Pascal. Love him. I'm sorry. Pedro Pascal is the internet's best friend. And that's what I have to say about him personally. In terms of him playing Reed, I thought it was great. It was an honest performance. You felt when he did make some mistakes, every ion of his body, you could see his own frustrations or the character's frustrations. When he, met the baby for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
you saw that in his body. And I talked about this briefly. I made a comparison to Marlon Brando and Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
And when I said something like that is, I think the actors of today that we're seeing strong performances of, like Pedro Pascal, I'm afraid it can't get better than this. No, I'm not. I'm not particularly saying just this performance. What I'm saying is, he gave his all for a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I think it's wonderful that you have someone like Pedro, because not only are you getting a great performance, you're learning something.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a ton to learn about Reed. And in Pedro's performance, you learn that mistakes aren't necessarily always bad. You learn to get to what you need by making mistakes, because if you try the easy way out, somebody's just going to take their huge ass foot and stomp on it,
Hmm.
or a surfboard's going to go, you know, whatever you do with the surfboard when it flies and it's silver in space. Um, and you have to work around that. You have to adapt. And again, they could have cast anyone in this, but they cast Pedro Pascal because they needed him. They needed his ability, and yeah, his ability to make it not just funny, but realistic.
Yeah, I think Reed Richards is a tough character to not just to write but also to play
You sound
because
so lame, by the way. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
it's fine. But he's a tough character because he's like so brilliant that it's hard to give him any other kind of personality, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's sometimes very bland, but I feel like he had enough character in this. Like he had his doubts, he had his anxieties. Like that, there was a scene where he's like shouting, like, "I have to think about the worst things in the world just so I can make sure that they don't happen."
Yeah, but you saw that. That's the great
Yeah,
thing about all of these people that, like the entire cast, they gave it their all. And I will admit that I haven't watched a ton of Marvel stuff in the past 5 years in terms of the TV shows or whatever. But for me, it started to be very what's the thing that Lucy and Ethel are doing? Manufacturer's line? What is that called?
like very production
Yes,
and
production like it was like the same thing over and over again.
yeah.
Nothing against the actors themselves, but I just felt that this was actually well thought out and they wanted to start something new. And you know, you got it with this. You got refreshing. You got great characters, but you also got great actors to play these characters that gave them their own personality. That they, yes, they're very similar to the comic book, but in this film, they each gave it a little bit of something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like, I could say that about all of these actors, is that each time they perform, and no matter what they do, they give you a performance that you're not going to expect. And it's always, to me, one of the better things of movie making at the moment.
Mm-hmm. There's one main star that you didn't include in your list, Mary.
Herbie?
Yes, Herbie.
Who played Herbie?
Herbie was played by Herbie.
Hmm.
Herbie was apparently it was Matthew Wood. Interesting. He is Herbie, I should say, is like the probably the strongest member of the whole team because when things are not going well, they call in Herbie to help.
Yeah.
Like when the ship is struggling to escape from the black hole, it's like, Herbie, come and help, and Herbie's like,
let's just say that Herbie could do the mission himself.
Probably
or themselves. I'm not gonna say him, but yeah, themselves. They could do it.
Yeah, Herbie probably could. And there was a scene where Herbie is guarding young Franklin.
The baby.
Yes, as Galactus arrives, and you see the panic on Herbie's face, and it pulls down the shutters, and Galactus's hand just rips through. And I thought, if you harm Herbie, I will boot you into a black hole myself.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers: Herbie was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they did a very good job with essentially an inanimate object with minimal expressions and sound effects, but they made him very, very expressive and relatable.
Do you know what it reminded me of? And you're probably going to know what I'm going to say because of my Disney profile picture. It reminded me of Wall-E.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not necessarily the whole attitude behind them. It just making a bunch of metal have a good, nice, sweet personality.
Yeah. And he had that delightful retro aesthetic with all the cassettes in it. Like they had like the cassette for how we should operate around the house, and then when they're going on the space mission, they swap the cassettes and put the space mission cassette in.
So overall, before I get on to my last thing, what did you think of this movie?
Hated it. Every second of it was torture. No, I really
I'm
enjoyed it.
taking your membership for the Pedro Pascal fan club.
No, I enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. I thought it was interesting that it had a kind of a similar optimistic, hopeful message as Superman. Um, whereas the optimism in Fantastic Four is more about like faith in humanity overall,
Hmm.
rather than faith in ourselves and each other, like Superman was. But I thought they nicely complemented each other.
Yeah, I liked it. If I had to rate it, I'd probably say 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think an 8 out of 10 is fair as well. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Did you like it more than Superman?
No,
Mm.
I like Superman a lot. Um, and I'm not saying that that's just again, it's there's nothing against this movie. It's just I am a um you put crypto in anything, especially that crypto, I'm like, yeah,
Crypto over Herbie, then.
yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah. Because Herbie can't fly me.
True.
Yeah. So let's talk about Earth 828.
Yeah.
I thought this was the because when they did this, they put Earth 828 on the screen, and then I believe it was Pedro Pascal's character Reed was talking about like multi-dimensional stuff and
Yeah.
all of this, and you're thinking, oh, okay, that's just a random number, and then at the end,
Yeah, during
it
the
was
credits.
very, very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, so at the end of the credits, there's a Jack Kirby quote. I had it on my phone, but my phone is misplaced. But essentially, he says, if you look into my characters, you'll find a piece of myself in all of them. As a creator, it's impossible not to leave yourself in your creations.
Yeah.
And then they put up his obituary, I suppose, and say Jack Kirby, born this date, died that date.
Hmm.
And then it focused in on 828.
Yeah.
28th of August, his birthday. And that's why that Earth was named Earth 828. Because this movie was very much inspired by the work of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee as well. Stan Lee contributed. I think while Stan Lee was alive, it was very difficult for people to acknowledge that perhaps he had the lesser role in creating some of those early characters, particularly the Fantastic Four. But now that he is no longer with us and Jack
Yeah.
Kirby is no longer with us, I think people are more open about saying, yeah, okay, it was mostly Jack, but obviously Stan did make his contributions. Of course he did. He came up with the overall plots. He wrote the dialogue, but it was Jack Kirby that drew the comics. He was given, a page describing what would happen in the story, and then he would flesh it all out, and he would leave notes for dialogue as well.
Word.
Particularly for Ben Grimm, because Ben Grimm was the Thing, I should say, was kind of modelled on himself. He modelled the Thing on himself. Grew up in Yancey Street, whereas Jack Kirby grew up in Delancey Street in New York. What you're going to say something?
If you guys could hear some like high pitched noise in the background, I don't know if you're going to be able to
They
hear
won't be
it,
able to.
but it's Gilgamesh is snoring.
Yeah, he was.
He's so happy.
He's asleep.
Yeah,
Uh,
I really like the fact that so people that are Marvel, people know the whole Jack Kirby Stan Lee thing. Me, I'm a DC gal through and through. I've always liked a little bit of the darker side. That was too Oklahoma in there. I had to look up the Kirby Lee thing. And I felt kind of sad for Jack Kirby because I don't think at the beginning of this whole Marvel journey, I don't think he had the credit he deserved. Because Stan Lee got a lot of credit, and he should, because if he did characters and helped with that and all of that, that's great. But Jack Kirby should have had the same amount of credit. Obviously, he had passed by then and all of that, but posthumously, I can never say the word right.
posthumously.
Yeah, posthumously. He should have been credited more
Mm-hmm.
and talked about more and given more props because without Jack Kirby, a lot of these characters, a lot of these stories, a lot of these movies that we're watching today would be completely different.
Yeah, I can share a funny anecdote that someone told me. They worked with Jack Kirby when he worked in animation studios in the 80s, and they said, Jack Kirby was a gentleman. He was so friendly and polite. He was always willing to learn and listen to other people's opinions. He never had a bad thing to say about anyone, except for Stan Lee. They told me one of the things he said about him, and I can't repeat it on here, but I think they ironed out most of their issues towards the end.
I mean, you gotta,
Yeah. There was a quote from Jack Kirby's wife, Roz Kirby, who had said something along the lines of, so towards the end of Jack Kirby's life, he was going to a lot of like Comic-Cons to like meet fans and sell original artwork and stuff. And Stan Lee came up to him and to like bury the hatchet and said, you know what, we should work together again. And Jack was like, yeah, do you know what, maybe we should. And then his wife like jumped in front of him and went, no, it's not happening.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, I really loved that such a big part of this movie was kind of dedicated to him.
Yeah.
And it needed to be.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age where, let's be real. Comic book characters that were made by certain people like Jack Kirby, they've been so diluted over the years.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice for them to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
And to recognize the people that helped get them there. And Jack Kirby was one of those very important people, just as important as Stan Lee.
Yeah.
And I will forever and always say that. Not that Stan Lee's a bad person or anything, but I think credit for both people is deserved.
These creations wouldn't be exactly the same as they are now if either of those two men were not involved.
Yeah. So, we actually spent the better part of this episode actually talking about the subject at hand. How did you feel about that?
I feel faint. I need to lay down.
Let's get to the comments, because I think it's going to be over an hour again.
Yeah, sorry. So first of all, we have Belmont GR, who says, I thought it was strange in Man of Steel. I should remember to say to people that we're talking about our last episode, which was about the James Gunn Superman movie. Mm-hmm. So to continue the comment, I thought it was strange in Man of Steel when Superman did not try to move the conflict out of the city. Of course, they had to do the same thing in this movie where a strange creature attacks the city, but Superman bickers with Lois and says that the others have it covered. Well, the thing to remember about that scene is he'd had his whole perception of the world crushed around him. He'd always thought his parents were telling him to be a good person. And he was living up to what he thought was their legacy. And it had been revealed that they were perhaps not so benevolent. So he was wounded. He was crushed. He was like, what's the point in doing anything? He was depressed. It's not that he was going there to bicker with Lois. But anyway. What I did not like at all was Krypto always saving the day, making everyone seem useless.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the purpose of a dog or a cat, is they always save the day. Every single bad moment that I've had in my life, every single one, the thing, other than Luke, that has helped me get through it, was a cat, a dog, or a bunny. And I'll give you a tiny example of this. When my grandfather died, the day before we went to go visit him, thousands of miles, my cat, Isis, very uncharacteristically, laid at my feet most of that night, because I was obviously crying and I was upset. Not beside me, not on me, by my feet. And she knew that occasionally looking up at me and making her little chirp meant the world to me, and that's what she did. Mm-hmm. And it literally helped me get through one of the hardest times of my life. And a lot of people think that way. So I think Krypto's biggest superpower is love.
Yeah, and I don't think Krypto always saved the day. There were 2-3 fights he got involved in?
I'm sorry, I just love Krypto, and I'm always going to think Krypto wins.
Yeah. Well, no, the dude's entitled to his opinion. It's absolutely fine.
I know, I'm just giving mine. I'm very biased. Yeah. That's what I'm going to say.
We're not trying to poo-poo on his opinion. No. He's entitled to it.
Yeah, but I can see why you would think that.
I went to see Superman, not Superdog, lol. There is some ambiguity on it, but it's possible Superman killed a couple of Lex's soldiers with the laser eye beams, and I did not like it. No, he didn't kill anyone. Considering this is a Superman that goes out of his way to protect a squirrel from being crushed by a kaiju, he's not going to kill any soldiers. He's just burning their armor.
But I think you and I should write a letter. We should compose a letter and send it to James Gunn about Superdog. We should do this. Are we making plans? We're making plans.
So let's move on to the next comment, which is from David Carney, who says, "Hi, Mary and Luke. Couldn't believe the negativity for this film before release. The box office numbers are looking good, so possibly a sequel to come. For me, this is a comic book being brought to life, and I can't wait for more. Crypto was definitely the breakout star. Did you know in Addams Family Values the baby had a hangover?" Yes, I remember that scene because he put on sunglasses and was drinking a Bloody Mary. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Yeah, thank you, David.
Did I have a good weekend?
It's not over yet.
It's one of the better weekends I've had recently.
Next we have Ryan Jones, who says, "I loved the movie. It was a breath of fresh air for me. I love that Lois is speaking for me when she say the Guy Gardner haircut should be a crime."
Yes, I think that was the realest thing of that entire movie, was her comment on that hair.
I don't know if it was intentional, but Lex Luthor selling weapons to a rogue nation is kind of like Trump's war with Iran. I heard some hot takes of Superman in general saying he's boring, bland Boy Scout. But you can make Superman a great character in this movie, and Superman the Animated Series proved it. I'm surprised that you didn't mention Supergirl's cameo in the movie. I don't believe in franchise fatigue because it's not that there are too many movies or shows of a franchise that people are tired of. It's corporately manufactured movies that people are tired of, and this movie proves it.
I think in each Lex iteration, they put kind of like a modern take on it. And if you talk about like modern politics and stuff, you will definitely see those similarities. So yeah.
I forgot to ask this in the last episode, but what is Midwest?
So Midwest is like Kansas, Illinois. Some people call Oklahoma the Midwest. Others, like myself, see a clear divide. And I happen to be in that particular city where it was a clear divide. Like half of it's this, half of it's that. It's kind of like where like Tornado Alley is, like in the middle.
Yeah, so basically it's the middle of the United States, but on the western side of it.
Yeah.
Is there a Mideast? No, they're not really talking about
it. Now. Let's not get carried away. No, yeah, it's for some people it's different. Like for the people of Oklahoma, it might be a little bit different than the rest of the world because, you know, Oklahomans are a bit much sometimes. But yeah, it's kind of like that.
Also, as a real Christian, I do accept people who are gay, bisexual, trans, and people of colour for existing as long as they are not hurting others. It doesn't matter what your sexuality is, or the colour of your skin, or what other religion you have. Well, yeah, that's quite
Word. That is very, very lovely. And I wish everyone thought the way that you did.
Next, we have a comment from a new commenter, Night and Obsidian. Night and Obsidian? I believe I've said that right. Apologies if I haven't. Me and my older brother saw the movie, and it was so damn good. And I gotta say, this Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor is hands down my favourite version of Luthor ever made now. I even like him more than the DCAU version of Luthor, and that's really high and damn impressive thing to even do that. Also, it looks like the rumours are true. It looks like we might be getting a Supergirl movie, so I'm hyped for that. Oh yeah, not a rumour, it's 100% confirmed, yeah.
I'm really stoked about that.
I did hear rumours that Lobo might be in it as well. Yes, he is. Jason Momoa is playing him.
Yeah,
so I can't wait to see the main man for the first time in live action. Also, when I was watching the movie, I noticed that these portals looked a lot like boom tubes, so maybe Luthor got help from Darkseid. It's probably nothing like that, but maybe just a little nod.
Sorry about the beep, by the way. It was my watch.
I haven't been doing great because the store I was working at closed down to become a different store, so I no longer have a job. But I'm probably planning to go to college soon and become an EA and work at the high school I went to. But watching your videos have really helped and brightened up my mood. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your troubles, and hopefully they don't last very long.
You know what? I've been in similar positions, and it sucks. Like, it really does suck, but I'm so proud of you for actually looking at your future and actually doing something about it. Even if you don't end up doing that, or you do, it doesn't matter. You're still looking at the future, and you're still a pretty cool person. So that's awesome. Because with me, I was like, my world's ended. Mm-hmm. Video stores aren't existing anymore.
Also, I agree with Mary. I'm a type of person who doesn't like being negative all the time. I've been less on the internet and been reading more. I've been reading the Dracula novel for the past month, and I'm really enjoying it a lot. I was just done at the part where they stalked Lucy. When I'm reading Dracula, I'm planning to read Carmilla next, and then an interview with a vampire.
That's a good lineup there.
Also, the reason I got into reading the novel was I'm a fan of the anime Hellsing, and I just got into Castlevania series as well. The Castlevania anime series is so damn good. I highly recommend watching it. The same with Hellsing as well. Funny thing with Hellsing is I found out about the series from Team 4 Star's Hellsing Abridged series. I also agree with what Mary said and can relate to what she was talking about the people who really raised as kids. After so many years, I realised how much I hated my dad and how he always talked badly about my grandma, even though he didn't raise me and my brothers at all. Also, my father was one of the reasons why I hated being male and always kept my sadness locked up to myself. I was being raised by my grandmother, and finding out I was non binary really helped me find out who I really was. I've just cut off and don't talk to my father anymore. My grandmother had raised me and my brothers our entire lives, and I will always love and thank her for that. She's always been there and helped me when I was going through hard times in my life. I look up to her, and she really did shape me and who I've become over all these years, so I have to thank her for that.
Oh, thank you, Grandma. Sorry. I just, I love that so much because it shows that your family is who you make it. It doesn't matter if it's your grandmother or your father or whatever. The people that raised you are the ones that help mold you. And it sounds like your grandmother is like, I want to say like an angel, like such a cool person. Because especially making someone like yourself, um hard work and love.
Just to continue their comment then, speaking of the DCAU, I own all the shows on Blu-ray or DVD now, but I'm planning on buying Blu-rays for Batman Beyond. I already have the DVDs, but I'd rather have them on Blu-ray because they look way better, and all the bonus features on them. I'm planning to give the DVDs to a good friend of mine when I do end up getting them. I got something really cool when I was looking at the flea market, and I know this would interest Luke. The Batman Serial 1943 movies on VHS. Yeah, that is interesting. So I'm really happy, and I find it cool I now own something that old. Speaking of your podcast, I really like the episode with the ideas on how in the world they got away with showing the stuff while fighting the really hard boss at the end of Deltarune Chapter 3. I was able to beat the boss, but I guess I have to thank you two for helping me beat it. I'll take that win. Thank you. I'll take the credit. That's all I have to say, but I'll end this off by saying I really enjoyed your videos. I've even just become a member of Luke's channel as well. Oh, that's very kind of you. I've been talking about your channel and sharing it on my social media. My friends, my online friends, can't wait for more videos in the future. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, and thank you so much just for being here and being able to call you a friend is awesome. And you're not just my online friend, you are my friend. Um, because online friends are just as important, and I love it.
Right.
So thank you.
Okay, next comment is from Doc Widener, who says, "Thank goodness you're here, and hello Gilgamesh. I really enjoyed Slither. That was the first James Gunn movie he directed that I saw at a 24-hour horror movie marathon, and it starred Nathan Fillion, aka Guy Gardner. Yeah. Likely Rosenbaum was there less for Wally and more for Smallville's Lex, yes. Edie Gathegi, Mr. Terrific. Never saw Twilight. I knew him for X-Men and for playing Dev in For All Mankind. I thought he was great."
I was trying to think of something he said in a movie the other day, just randomly, and it did come from X-Men, so didn't need to know that, but yeah.
I forgot Mr. Terrific was in JLU. My rewatch had not gotten to him swapping out as the Monitor. I had stopped reading the mainline comics before he came along, so I mainly knew the character from the Arrowverse. I think his beach fight may have been the best choreographed fight in the movie. Yes, it was very good.
It's very good.
Love Nathan Fillion, though I haven't watched The Rookie. The missus and I loved Castles. Anytime he pairs up with Alan Tudyk is worth a watch. I will shill again for Con Man and Resident Alien, and Alan shows up as Gary/Robot 4. Not sure if you will mention him, not there yet. I do wonder if Warner Brothers will go the sillier Justice League route from the post-crisis comics. If so, will we get Bats laying Guy Gardner out with one punch? This guy seems a little more mature than those comics guy at the time. Looking forward to the Lantern show. Oh, you have ice cream chucks. Not out here in the country, grew up with them in the city.
Yeah. I can relate to that because in the summertime, we went to this place called, it was outside of Valleybrook. And there was a clear line of where you would get your ice cream, because the ice cream truck would literally do a U-turn to
Mhm.
start going back because they wouldn't go past a certain part. And then, yeah, it was very rural there. Not anymore, though.
Jimmy, refreshing and funny take on him, not much to add to what you said. Lex, like Jimmy, not much to add. Houston makes an easily. Oh, I'm thinking Nicholas Holt. Yeah, Nicholas Holt, that's his name, isn't it? Holt makes an easily hateable Luther and understandable, and even pitiable in a way. Reminds me of the All-Star Superman from the comics, where he gets Superman's powers for a day. He's furious when Superman won't let him keep them because he understands, finally, all the good he can do with those powers. And Superman points out he could have always done good with the power and wealth he already had. He doesn't
Amen.
need Superman's types of powers.
Mm-hmm.
Lois, darn it, Mary, I have other shows I want you to watch, but if you want a great story and great fashion, watch the episodes of a couple of episodes of Mrs. Maisel. This actress
Yeah.
was fantastic in it. I could have watched another 20 minutes of their interview in the apartment. I loved her passion with the Justice Gang, her insulting guy's hair, and the nod to her Estas wardrobe with the purple top at the end of the film. Also, Lois was never in need of rescue by Superman in this film, which was nice.
She is, oh, they really nailed it with her. They really did.
Ohio was well represented. Cleveland was metropolis with some augmentation. Progressive Field was the Cleveland, where the Cleveland Guardians play, was the baseball stadium in the movie. And I have been to the Hall of Justice multiple times. It was built during the Great Depression. Actually, it started before the Depression. It was not WPA project, but was heavily influenced by the Art Deco elements of
Mhm.
WPA works of the time. I know Houses Museum, and in the late 1990s had a working Gallagher. I know it houses museums. Okay, oh sorry, I misread that. And in the late 1990s, it had a working Gallagher. Didn't see it the last time I was there. Felt like you didn't talk about Crypto's arc and his key role in the last battle of the film. He was very well developed as a character, unless I missed it.
Here's the thing. I would have talked at length about crypto, but it would have been just an hour on its own about one particular scene that was like 2 minutes long. Like, I have to, excuse me, I have to be able to uh cut it down a little bit,
Hmm.
and you'll hear me talk about crypto more, definitely.
Around the time you were talking about Kal-El's parents and Clark's parents, I was filling some garden boxes that the missus thought should have been completely full, and the boys had left about 8 centimetres short of full. As for brunch, made waffles and sausage patties. We actually have a mini waffle maker that I use for the sausage patty and a full-size flippable waffle maker. For the missus, it was chocolate waffles. A lot of days she has drinks for breakfast, which is unsweetened soy yogurt, unsweetened almond milk, and chocolate protein powder, a chocolate stevia syrup, bamboo fibre, and an unsweetened cocoa powder. So for her waffles, I use that as a liquid base, and then the chocolate Kodiak protein waffle mix.
I've heard a lot of good things about bamboo powder. I'm not really on a health kick. I'm on a journey with my health because of a few things that I've found out recently. So I love that. We love we love Mrs. Doc.
Mm. Darn it, Luke, how have you not sat Mary down to watch Buffy? This is on you. Well, I've tried a few times and she said no. Conroy, Cornsweat, Tuddock, Reeve, all Juilliard attendees. Tuddock left before graduating and Reeve did graduate work there, but went to Cornell as an undergraduate and left for a job before finishing his grad studies.
Smarty pants.
Conroy and Reeves studied under John Houseman. I really liked this Superman portrayal. We didn't get much undercover Clark. What I saw, I liked. I think Christopher Reeve did it better, but maybe because he had more time to do it on screen. One other thought about Superman I wish I could take credit for, but I heard on the Crazy Stupid podcast, Batman is a cop, interested in enforcing the law, bringing folks to justice. Superman is more of a firefighter, interested in rescuing people.
Oh my gosh, that's like perfect.
I think it is a little bit simplistic, but especially in the film, Superman is not associated with the police like Batman is. I know in the comics he has Maggie and Turpin, but he is not as closely tied to them as Batman is to Jim Gordon.
That's a great way to think about that, actually.
In answer to Big Mikey P's question, no legend stuff, not really much outside of the films. There were a few items from Mando, Ashoka, and Andor, or replicas of things like that, but this was aimed at the normies who go to the movies. Also, nothing of the Clone Wars, Rebels, etc., and nothing I can think of from Legends. I think there was something of Thrawn, but it was from the canon version. Better Hammer films: Horror of Dracula, The Mummy, The Curse of Frankenstein, and The Revenge of Frankenstein. Yes, they're all good
Yes,
movies.
definitely.
You missed the joke, Mary. I was asking which nude beach you and your friends went to since you said your whole chest was sunburnt. I listed the ones I knew of.
I did get the joke. I just,
I just didn't acknowledge it.
I'm joking. I didn't actually get the joke, which is a big part of my life. I don't get the joke a lot of the time. But no, by the way, I'll give you a little update. No sunburn this week.
Mm-hmm. So just to finish the comment off, he says that I had said something similar to what you said to Daniel. I will play this for him after the meeting, writing this part as I sit on the porch at this 4H meeting, which hopefully won't go 4 hours. It didn't, but took a while to play this for him. I think he was typical 14-year-old boy and was a bit uncomfortable at first, but especially after Sergey said positive things about what you said, he warmed up to it.
Oh.
I appreciate it. The yeast project is yeast breads. I will send some pictures. We do plan to see Fantastic Four as well. Sergey has had tickets from some movie club thing with Cinemark. Feel free to use or ask for video of any of our Superman movie merch if you don't mind the likely messy house background.
Oh, yeah, don't even get me started on messy houses. You've not seen mine at the moment. It's very we've got 3 cats, and if you don't vacuum 3 times a day every day, you're gonna have like bunnies that you didn't know you had, like, because they're gonna grow out of the fur. But yeah, I'm really happy that I completely just blanked, but I'm really happy that you got to you let Daniel hear what we were saying, because it is totally up to his generation to do with the future what they want. And I believe if your children are anything like you, the world is going to be a better place.
Yes. Now, let's move on to the next comment, which is from Big Mikey P, Michael Andre Parlon, who says, I'm late comment because I got 404'd again.
Oh no.
And he says for 1 minute and 2 seconds, what a jingle. Yes, it's the news music from Superman the Animated Series. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is better off finished at season 5 in case anyone wants to watch the show. 1 hour, 12 minutes and 49 seconds. Mary is on the past comments latter opinion Schway to hear. 1 hour and 20 minutes and 46 seconds. Oh, that. Yep, I have made enough fave music posts since then, and they're quite a multi-genre of English, Japanese, lyricless tunes, and so on.
Yeah.
1 hour, 21 minutes and 17 seconds.
It's such a long thing.
Oh, I know. Not reading The Last Son of Krypton and Miracle Monday for now. Still reading up on the Emily of New Moon and nearing the end of Halo First Strike novel and Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. 1 hour, 21 minutes, 33 seconds. I'm about to watch Anne of Green Gables 1979 episodes 15 and 16 before this, while Girls and Panzer episode 6 has been rewatched with ORI effortlessly winning on Saunders. After that, some R&R via Over 3, and then ORI versus the Italian-esque Anzio via episode 7 and Over 7. Meanwhile, I'm also doing a daily rewatch of Red vs. Blue now on season 7. Good taste in fantasy films, also neat French, Luke. Other movies to try watching. Guess I'm curious on the certain K-pop film made by Sony Animation may pique any Spider-Verse and review Starlight fanboy. Will await the Fantastic Four movie flip side. Now for movie stuff, don't read if you've not watched yet. Of course, Peacemaker gets a cameo. They have said that season 2 of his show will have narrative connections with the movie, particularly in terms of a certain quantum thingamajig and multiverse theory. Too many characters. Have those folks ever seen Girls and Panzer and One Piece, the Marvel Cinematic Universe even? Figures Mr. Terrific is becoming an ensemble character for the for the DCU. Holt quite proved himself a worthy Lex Luthor, and at his first DCU appearance even. Sorry, Jesse. Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, the message that gave Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 vibes. To memorably quote Star-Lord, what?
Sorry, I just love him and the Jesse Eisenberg one. I love Jesse Eisenberg, he's great, but it's just I like Guy Gardner. No, Guy Gardner. I love Nick Holt.
And yes, Luke, some cultures and biological parents are flawed, to put it kindly, so the reveal is surprisingly relatable. Really, it's a familiar topic even during Charles Dickens' time, let alone before. As an aside, the Kents being the good parents that they are is so fitting an antidote to the twist, and yay, Superman's dad Jonathan is alive and gives relevant advice, unlike the one from Man of Steel.
Can I just say how I loved Kevin Costner? That was very Oklahoman again. I'm just coming out today. I loved Kevin Costner. And I loved the Pa Kent and the animated series and Justice League and everything. But this Pa Kent, he looked like someone I grew up with. And when I say that, I'm talking not necessarily like his actual like appearance, but like the way that he carried himself and the way that he would, touch Clark's shoulder and stuff like that. And it took me to a place that I've not been in about 30 years. And it was so freaking lovely. And I think a lot of people that grew up around where I did will probably relate to that in the best way possible. And James Gunn is never going to listen to this podcast, but if he does, bravo. You did really great. Like, you were with perfection in Paul Kent because I feel like I've met these people before. And it was great.
So just to finish off Big Mikey P's comment, he says, can agree with an 8 out of 10. Besides, there will be bigger, superior DC follow-ups, and I'll be curious which of those shall equal, if not surpass, the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Captain America, the First Avenger and Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy's Volume 1 and 2. Don't understand the nitpicks on the post-credits not being epic reveals a la the MCU. The film has already got enough beforehand, like Amanda Waller and Supergirl, foreshadowing their own upcoming tales.
I thought that post-credit scene was just so funny because it was such a real conversation that one of us would have had with our friends if we were like trying to fix something. Like, something's not right there.
Yeah.
No, but it is. It's
we
fine.
We put the city back together, but it's slightly wonky.
You're going through something like that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's just my life in general.
Because he's trying to put a pull cord in?
Yeah, swap out a pull cord, but it's just not working. It's really irritating. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, thank you for your comment. We'll go on to the next one from The Phantasm. It has written a novel. Oh, lo and behold, after so many years of the prevailing perception of Superman on the big screen by audiences who may not be familiar with him otherwise as being a big, dark, brooding god detached from humanity and viewing his abilities mainly as a burden, we finally get a film representation of Superman that amazingly portrays his innate and sincere goodness, and that despite being an alien, he is arguably the most human one of us all. Now, that's not to discourage anyone who was a fan of the previous incarnation under the DCEU, but speaking for myself, it had just missed the core values of the character that made me connect with Superman to begin with. Plus, it doesn't help that the overall plan from the DCEU was for Batman to have an affair with Lois Lane so that she's pregnant and his child before being killed off, and having Superman become a tyrannical ruler under Darkseid. That's one too many steps too far towards edginess for me. Now back to the new Superman. Every single cast member that was announced had me unbelievably excited that they would nail the role, and I was not disappointed whatsoever. David Cornsweet made easily the strongest impact for me and gave us the most human and emotional vulnerable Superman we've gotten, and is, as of now, my new favourite live-action Superman, with Christopher Reeve and Tyler Hoechlin not far behind. I still consider Christopher Reeve the single greatest casting for a live-action comic book character, but where I felt his portrayal felt a bit lacking was his interaction and chemistry with the rest of the cast, which I never disliked, but I was also not terribly emotionally attached to. Rachel Brosnahan couldn't have been more perfect and delivered by far my favourite live-action Lois Lane, and in my opinion, Rachel and David had easily the most chemistry out of any Superman and Lois actors, and amazingly showcased the single greatest couple in comic book history. And now we're also going to see the second greatest with Reed Richards and Sue Storm soon, which both the two of you and I have seen by the time you're reading this. And if you want to see more of Rachel, if you remember, I recommended The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which she's front and centre. And of course, Nicholas Hoult delivers without question my favourite live-action portrayal of Lex Luthor. And before anyone comes knocking at my door, yes, I still watch Smallville for Michael Rosenbaum's Lex soon. Oh, I will watch Smallville for Michael Rosenbaum's Lex soon. Excuse me. Clancy Brown's portrayal is still my definitive rendition of Lex Luthor, but that's an impossible standard. I still don't love the change from LexCorp to LuthorCorp, and I get that James Gunn wanted to use the name because of Smallville, but I just feel LexCorp reflects Lex's ego more. In his head, I picture him thinking, this isn't the Luthor company, this is Lex's company, the only Luthor that matters. And as for implying the existence of Lex's family, which he also mentioned, I have a hot take. I couldn't care less about Lex's family. Not his father, not his mother, not his sister Lena, or his daughter is okay though. The rest of the characters I felt were used very effectively, but still making it clear this was Superman's story. The Justice Gang was a delight, and Mr. Terrific being the standout for many, and of course Guy Gardner being the signature douchebag with a heart of gold. The one that I felt was kind of just there was Hawkgirl. But still, this wasn't her story. I did wish to see Shayera instead of Kendra Saunders, but I'm not heartbroken about it. I don't care for their Maxwell Lord funded attires, but knowing that obviously it's temporary, I accept it as part of the story. Metamorpho was also very well characterised and his powers were greatly showcased, although the CGI baby Joey was a bit uncanny to see. I wonder if in the future they'll do what several adaptations of Metamorpho have done and reinvented his origins as a lab-related incident instead of mystical. Although I always have to disagree with Mary on something regarding the plot. Dun dun dun. In regards to the other heroes teaching Superman more how to be a hero, personally I saw it as quite the opposite. Given how much James Gunn has expressed that Kingdom Come was an inspiration for the film, the way I saw it was that it was the others who had lost their way, as shown with them becoming sponsored heroes until Superman reminded them what being a hero really stands for. At least that's my understanding of it, as all film is subjective and we get different meanings from viewing them. The Daily Planet crew were very fun to spend time with, although a small gripe I had was that we barely spent any time with them. The only exception was Jimmy, who I just found so delightful, and I love to see the bizarre Silver Age elements of Jimmy, with the film calling out that women are inexplicably obsessed with him. Speaking of which, Eve Tessmacher was also a delight, which says a lot coming from me, as I've always hated both Otis and Tessmacher in the Donna films that they were created for, and always found them the worst part of those two films. And I couldn't forget Krypto, who is an absolute wonder to see destroy anything he can chew on, including the poor Superman robots.
Can I say I agree with your take as well? I do, because I think both things can happen at the same time. But now that you mentioned it, I'm kind of like, well, duh, that makes sense. So yeah, I this is one of the reasons I love like having you guys like talk to us and stuff, because it gives you a different take on things. I like it.
Regarding the overall plot, I love the message of the film, inspired by so many classic stories, and how it reinforces the need for Superman in pop culture, and our world has become so clinical that the genuine kind person sticks out as the outlier. I wonder if you mean cynical. Could be clinical, I suppose. As they say in the film, kindness is the new punk rock. There's also a big subject, which is the depiction of Jor-El and Lara having more authoritarian values, and speaking for myself, I neither loved nor hated it. On the one hand, I'm glad because I'm sick of revising characters who are created to be killed off, but on the other, it raises questions like, why would Clark still choose to wear the family crest given what it represents? I'm indifferent to it. With the Kents, however, they were absolutely lovely, and I'm so glad Pa Kent is alive. He hasn't been dead as the status quo for decades. A small aspect I'd like to mention that I loved was the visual effect of the kryptonite affecting Superman, which I've always thought looked utterly boring in the comics and most media. He always just grunts and falls to his knees, and it just always looks the same. I never feel the gravity of his pain. The film and my adventures with Superman, I think, are easily the best visualization of kryptonite affecting Superman. The inclusion of Ultraman / Bizarro amalgamation was easy to predict, and wasn't exactly a character. But I like how he more represents Lex's instruments of power. Then there's the engineer, whose abilities were well utilized, but she did feel more like a discount Mercy Graves at times instead of the comic engineer. Of course, with Lex being done with Eve, I'm hopeful Lex hires Mercy in the future. If I had any other complaints, I'd say the opposite issue I had with the Batman, where I felt that the film was about 10 to 15 minutes too long, and people say the film should have been an entire hour shorter, I think are crazy. Superman felt 10 to 15 minutes too short. And at the end, we get the debut of the DCU Supergirl, setting her up for her film, which I'm eagerly waiting for. There's some people who are not familiar with the character that thought, she's just some drunk party girl, and oh boy are they in for a surprise when Supergirl comes out. I'm incredibly excited to see where the future of DC movies is headed and all the possibilities, which is the exact opposite feeling I had when I saw Man of Steel. Again, no discouragement to anyone who's a fan of the film. Whether it be finally seeing Brainiac as the main antagonist, or Superman and Batman in World's Finest Story, or Lex assembling the Legion of Doom, I'm all here for it. Especially since Nicholas Hoult said he really wants his Lex to interact with Joker, and I just can't help but picture the scene from Justice League of Joker gently caressing Lex's bald head and giving him a back rub, while Lex angrily looks in the distance. Anyway, take care as we await Fantastic Four and Peacemaker Season 2 later in the year. And a quick edit, he adds. I have just seen Fantastic Four and I loved it so much I will remain speechless for a while. Dare I say I loved it more than Superman even. But you'll have to wait until next time to hear my thoughts. I bet Luke's just itching to read all of it, aren't you? Yeah, my throat is pretty itchy actually, yeah. Don't answer, you already did, didn't you? Wow, you're still reading this? Oh, your poor voice. I'm going to have fun with this next time, maybe. Yeah, maybe I just won't read it next time. Maybe I'll just skip over it. Yes, thank you for your lengthy, engaged comment. I don't really have much else to add to that.
Yes, amigo.
So finally, we have Scream Wiper, who says, I went to the cinema and saw Superman last night. I enjoyed it. Great start to the new cinematic DC continuity. And now I've seen it, I can finally listen to this episode. I was really surprised that Perry was allowed to smoke in Mr. Terrific's flight craft. Might be because Mr. Terrific wasn't there, or must be because Mr. Terrific wasn't there. Also smoking inside of the office, very 20th century. I want a girlfriend like DCU Eve Tessmacher. I did think Nicholas Hoult looked a bit boyish to play Lex Luthor. I would have cast someone who more resembled the sort of look that the DCAU Lex Luthor had, someone like Michael Fassbender, but fair to him, he played the character very well. It's not just the acting, it's mainly the script, and he was probably the best live-action Luthor I've seen. Why did they take the injured Superman to Kansas, where it was nighttime, and not somewhere where it was daytime and sunny at the time, like maybe India? He'd have healed much quicker. I think they probably just took him somewhere that they deemed to be safe, which
and that they knew.
Yeah, back to his parents' house.
Yeah.
Roseanne Barr turning out to be a racist, etc. didn't surprise me at all. She always came across as smug and extremely abrasive to me. Smug people get flaws and don't realise it because they always consider themselves good. Abrasive people are often hostile to people who don't deserve it. Put those together, easy to get racism.
And here's the thing. She grew up with people that are like the way she is now. So she should know better. She should know that kindness and acceptance for a changing world is the way to go.
Mhm.
And being whatever she is at the moment is horrible.
Mm-hmm. And just to finish off Screen Wiper's comment, he says, if the Torah, Bible and Quran were rewritten to remove all the bigotry, all the advocation of genocide, slavery, rape, incest, and all the other heinous things those toxic books of BS tell us are righteous, it would make no difference. They've already been edited and rewritten for various nefarious political purposes, especially the Bible. This idea would just be one more edit that will be welcomed by those who agree with what it says and rejected by those that don't, same as all the others. These books are so full of contradiction that you can interpret them as saying anything you like. That's why a Christian can be anything from hippie to a fascist and still claim to be following the Bible. Most people who believe in God believe in a God who just so happens to have the same ethic and philosophical beliefs that they do because it's all made up. It's just people projecting their ego onto the universe that in actuality has no sentience, no morals, and no care for any of the life that exists within it. My beliefs, actions, and lifestyle are backed by the Creator in control of all reality. Yeah, you all say that, and you can't all be right, but you can all be wrong. Well,
I'm gonna say something that my grandpa told me once, and it was when I was older, so it was probably about 18 or 19. And I'm gonna be honest, he was drunk at the time, which he was most times. And I had, come home from work to have lunch. Basically, I came home to have a smoke break because I smoked at the time. And he had the Billy Graham on, and I didn't really care. I really didn't. As in like I didn't care what was on their television. They're watching it, whatever. I did like the stories that they did like in between his sermon and stuff, just because I got to see a lot of different interpretations of what he said. It's like the storytelling and stuff like that. But my grandpa told me, he was like, I'm not going to do his accent. He said, Mary Susan, I'll tell you something. That man right there, he's telling you a story. What does it mean? I think he was joking. Like I said, he was a bit, what is that? 50 Sheets to the Wind or something. But I always remember that. It's such a stupid little conversation. That's just like something that he said. I think of that every time I look into politics, any religions, any new people, any new stories. As I look at myself, obviously I come out of my own body and I look at myself and I say, Mary Susan, tell me what that story means. And it might sound really stupid, it might not make sense to anybody, but I somehow felt that my grandfather had said something profound because he knew what he thought of what Billy Graham was saying, but he wanted me to give my interpretation of it. And I believe my interpretation of it at the time was that you have to help feed the lamb. Can't remember exactly what that meant, but I can remember saying that in a fit of laughter just because of how he came out with the question. And then he told me how he felt and everything like that, slurring and stuff. So it was basically the same thing, but we got it, we got there. We took a different route in the end. Is the sayings that people have, the history that people have, we can have our own story. Like we can have our own way of interpreting it. And I think it's great that some people are spiritual and everything. I'm, like I say, I happen to not be a spiritual person, but I don't disrespect anybody that is because I find it very, I respect people that do because it's something that I wish I had the ability to do, but because of um I'm I don't know, like Charles Xavier is the king to me. Like I do love like his teachings. So I go by that. Um and unfortunately, Charles Xavier, I cannot find books he wrote himself. So I can't like go deeper into that. But what I liked about what my grandpa said and how he actually raised me as a person was your beliefs are your beliefs. It's okay if you share them, but what you cannot do is put them down somebody's throat and force them. Because the way that you live and the way that you end up in life at the very end, it's all up to you. In the end, you are the one that gets to interpret that story the way that you do. So I took it as feed the lamb. My grandfather took it as feed the lamb. Again, I can't remember exactly what story it was he was or which sermon it was he was talking about, but that's what I got from it. And what I mean by feed the lamb is you feed the people that look up to you. And it's not necessarily you have to be like a movie star or something. It's just the people around you look up to you in some sort of way. And you need to help them just as much as you help yourself. If they're willing to accept that. And what I mean by help, I mean like just being kind is helping. And yeah, I thought I would give that and my long thing at the very end so it doesn't get like lost in the podcast. But I feel that if everybody thought a little bit like Charles Albert did, not all of it, please, please not all of it, but just a little bit of my grandfather and teaching me as his favorite grandchild. That's a joke, by the way. That you need to interpret whatever somebody tells you the way that you do it because you are the one that has to get the root there and the root back if you choose to come back. So, does that make sense, or am I just like bleh, bleh, I'm bleh? But yeah, that's what I think of when I think of like religion and everything. Um, make it what you want, but always show kindness because we do need to remember that at the end of the day, in a zombie apocalypse, the people that were kind to you, you're going to save first. So, with that being said, what are we going to do next week?
We're gonna watch the first episode of Superman and Lois, or whatever the show is called.
Yeah.
Or is it Lois
My
and Superman?
Adventures with Super.
No, no, not My Adventure. That's the cartoon. We're talking about the live action one that people go, oh, it's one of the best Superman ones. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I look forward to that. So yeah, I am gonna turn my alarm off now, and I want to thank you guys so much. And yeah, have a great day. I I really appreciate all of you guys being here, and I appreciate you watching, and I appreciate that you're here on Earth with me because you matter, and most importantly, you matter to me. So I love you. Have a great day.